You and I, the people you walked past yesterday who you may never see again. The friends you made and the friends you lost along the years. The wise ones you looked up to when you had no sense of navigation. All just people, all individuals with stories, dreams, hopes, and fears. The human mind, being so vast and so beautiful, it'd be a waste not to embrace it, right? That's exactly what I'm here to talk with you all about today. You see, I had a whole speech written out already, and it was going to be called The Art of Letting Go. I wanted to sound wise beyond my years, but when I read it back, it ended up falling short. And I know myself enough to know that it was because I wasn't being myself. So instead, I'm here to talk about it. You and I, everyone. And exactly why it's important to recognize that person inside, to be proud of that person and love them. So, good evening everyone. My name is Jordyn Jones, and tonight through psychological theory, artistic expression, as well as personal experience, I plan to share with you all and hopefully convince you of why you should embrace yourself as an individual, why you should embrace who you are. Now, let's talk about the ego. When we think of the word ego or someone with a big ego, we usually think of someone arrogant or pompous, full of themselves. However, I'd like to take a detour from that and focus on a powerful alternative derived from one of the many great psychologists of our time, Dr. Carl Jung. Dr. Carl Jung was a psychologist with a theory of the mind, and specifically, I want to highlight how he thought of the ego. According to an article on simplypsychology.org by Dr. Saul McLeod, Dr. Jung believed the ego to be an amalgamation of the conscious mind, what you think and what you experience day to day, as well as your emotions, your memories, and your sense of self. And I find this to be fascinating because it gives us a more in-depth way to think about the self. So think about yourself. Who are you? And is that person that you're thinking of right now the same person you show to the world? Even if not, is that person you're thinking about right now someone that you respect, someone you value or love? The truth is, whether we like to admit it or not, whether you even realize it, we all put on a mask. But I find that there is power in not letting that mask consume you. A reason why you should embrace who you are is because the relationship that you cultivate with yourself can bring on a sense of strength that is more than skin deep. Now, on to you all. I'd like you to raise your hand if you consider yourself a creative. Anyone? Just keep them up just for a second. And I'm not asking for Picasso's or Maya Angelou's, but if you like to read or write or dance, sing, color, paint, you like fashion or movies or public speaking, anything like that. Okay, you can put your hands down. Whether you raise your hand or not, art is just one of the many ways we as humans can fully express ourselves, and I believe that authentic expression of the self is something that is so important for us as individuals. Now, while I say this next part, I'd like to pass around a few items that I guess help me embrace who I am. And you can just pass them around, just things that remind me of myself. And I'd like you to listen carefully while I share with you this next part. I believe that when it comes to authentic expression of the self, a quote by a poet that I admire by the name of Hoboe Elamira would be best used to describe that feeling. From her collection, Dear Me, Thank You for Existing, she scribes, "You have a galaxy within your soul, and light peeks through to confirm its abilities. You tried, but you found no success in trying to dim what has been lit." And to me, this has got to be the heart of my speech, the apex of everything that I want you to be moved by today. There's no point in trying to dim your own light, whether that comes from trying to conform to someone's expectations or comparing yourself to someone who you will never be. someone who could never be you. Another reason why you should embrace who you are is because there's joy to be found in being yourself and being proud of it. That light inside you shines a lot brighter when you let it. In my own way, I have been and still am on the journey of embracing who I am, and it's not always easy. And I want to make it known that when I say to embrace who you are, I'm not saying that you can't change. We're constantly changing, learning, growing, evolving. But I find that it's important to nurture yourself along the way, and whatever changes you do make, do it for you, and do it out of love. For example, many of us know the movie Sinners and its director, Ryan Coogler. If not, Ryan Coogler is a critically acclaimed director from Oakland, California, being the director of both Black Panther movies as well as the hit movie Sinners. He is accredited with being the first Black person to direct a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, as well as the first Black person to receive a BAFTA, or British Academy of Film and Television Arts Awards, for Best Screenplay. Well, did you know that he actually never set out to be a director, but instead was in school to become a doctor? You see, according to an article by Sharon K. Savada of St. Mary's University of California, after completing an assignment in which he had to write a narrative of a personal experience in his life, Coogler was advised by his English professor, Rosemary Graham, to pursue screenwriting. As she later would say, he knew how to write a scene. And just think, had he not listened that day, he would have been stuck in a career he wasn't passionate about, not living up to his true potential, and not making an impact that would take the world by storm. However, he did. And from that, he became a force to be reckoned with within the film industry, an inspiration for those writing their own paths, and opening doors for others who wish to live out their dreams. Now think about your story. If you don't take the time to know yourself, to love yourself and live for you, you may end up just like that alternative Ryan Coogler, working tirelessly just to be unhappy, spending years of your life just to realize that where you are isn't where you want to be. And I know some may say, well, it's not realistic to think that way. No one can actually get by just being who they are, believing in themselves. It's cliche. And to that, I'd say that that kind of narrow-mindedness is exactly what will set you apart from the greats. I'm sure that there were people who didn't think we'd be able to make it to the moon or even get to space. I'm sure that there were people who didn't think we'd be able to fly or reach the bottom of the ocean. But for all of those things, there was someone who did. And from that, it happened. The impossible was made to be possible. So for you to go against the grain, to believe, to see the reality in something that seems unrealistic, is what will set you on that path to also be like those who came before you, the greats. To put in my own perspective, in my early teen years, I wrote one of my first poems entitled Kite, where I wrote of dreaming to be like that of a kite, which could fly. I could be myself, but still be anchored down as to not float away or become lost in it. Years later, as an adult, I've written a sequel to that poem entitled The Wind, where I assure to myself that I am more than a kite. I am more than something that needs to be anchored, but the wind itself. And that my true power comes from not trying to confine who I am, but instead embracing that person. And through embracing who you are, you can find your power as well. As for my poem, here's the last portion. Though misunderstood and slightly out of focus, the wind is not to be underestimated, for she is tender-hearted and soft, but much stronger than she seems. A sweet zephyr I could be, or a powerful vortex. The wind truly knows herself and the beauty of freedom. To stand here today is an honor and a lesson to myself and hopefully others that through embracing who you are, you can be led to new paths, be lifted to new heights, and impact your life as well as the lives of others. Letting yourself shine naturally is what will take you to the places you've never imagined. And I believe this to be true for you, whether you have a passion that I've mentioned today or not. I didn't didn't think that when I took this class last semester that I'd be standing in front of you all giving a speech or having Dr. deNeze as my mentor. But I take it as a sign that great things can come from not being afraid to be yourself. Even though sometimes it's scary to think about the judgment of others, what someone might think or say about you, what matters more is how you think of yourself. And what matters more is how you'll feel when you look back at your life and how much of your life you allowed to belong to you. My mother, a poet herself, says to be diligent in hope, truthful in pursuit, and strong in purpose. Because just like the people who came before us, just like the individuals I've mentioned today, the paths you take in every moment will lead you to the rest of your life. So think about that and ask yourself, who will you choose to be?